I love obscure games. The joy of discovering a hidden gem among titles few care about is unmatched. However, the flip side is equally true. Going through all the trouble of discovery only to find out an obscure game is actually terrible can be disappointing. No wonder some games either remain obscure or go on to cost hundreds on eBay. Originally, I wanted to make a second part of Hidden Gem Classic FPS Games, but since the majority of the games I will be mentioning are heavily flawed, I decided to alter the title completely and set this list apart. This list is more focused on letting you know about these titles than a best of, so if any of the games I will be mentioning interests you, go ahead and try them out. So, without any further ado, let's begin.
Number 7. Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter.
I first discovered Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter when I was looking for some FPS shooters on the PS2, mostly underrated games. At first I didn't give it any thought until I tried it last year. What I ended up with is a mixed bag of I hate this game to I like this game. At times, Mace Griffin felt like a great shooter, and at the opposite, a frustrating experience. It had several great concepts that could have made it one of the best shooters of 2003, but the game's lack of polish and questionable decisions made it fall short against its brethren in the genre. When pitted against high-profile shooters, or even lesser-known gems of the era, Mace Griffin clearly comes behind. The controls lack a tight grip that makes a shooter feel great, difficulty spike is apparent in the entirety of the game, enemies quickly react to movement that at times it feels impossible not to get hit. But where Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter shines is in its space combat segments. The controls in those sections are excellent, and I wouldn't have minded if the game prolonged these segments.
Number 6. Uber Soldier 2.
You either dislike Uber Soldier 2 or tolerate it. Personally, I opted for both. Like Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter, Uber Soldier 2 had some great concepts on paper, but they fell short when executed. The first striking flaw you will quickly come to notice about Uber Soldier 2 is its sluggish controls. The 2000s saw the release of several great shooters like Call of Duty World at War, Time Shift, Serious Sam, Doom 3, and more, which felt more responsive and fun than Uber Soldier 2. The game encompasses several mechanics like bullet time, which can be activated upon executing 3 headshots, and there's a rage mode which can also be activated upon continuous stabbing spree. Plus, there's an RPG system that lets you upgrade your stats, but honestly, I haven't noticed a huge difference. Even after maximizing several stats, I still died a lot. And finally, there's a shield ability that blocks bullets from reaching you. But let's face the truth here. All of these elements were already made available in several games like Painkiller, Max Payne, Time Shift. It's difficult to recommend Uber Soldier because it's flawed, and the game can be frustrating at times with its aiming accuracy. And the enemies are a pain in the ass.
That's what she said!
Number 5. Epidemic.
It's not every day that you stumble upon an obscure FPS game on the PS1, let alone a mecha first-person shooter. The game I'm referring to is Epidemic, also known in Japan as Killay 2 Reason to Madness. You may be wondering right now if the game is any good. Well, I quite liked it at first, but I couldn't bring myself to finish it because of various reasons. First of all, the game controls well, and the visuals look great for a game released in 1995. But here's the thing, Epidemic's gameplay is heavily flawed, as levels take an hour to finish. Not only that, but the game quickly becomes tedious after forcing you to restart from the start of the level if you lose to a boss. Yes, there aren't any save points scattered throughout the level, keep that in mind. Most of the gameplay sees you guide in a mecha through corridors, shooting enemy mechanoids and solving puzzles in the style of find this key and use it here. The game provides you with a map, so you won't get lost, so that helps a bit. With negative critic aside, Epidemic's selling point is its shooting mechanics and intriguing story that keeps you focused. I definitely plan to revisit this game soon, and if you like mecha shooters, check it out. But be warned, the game is flawed. By the way, I have yet to find a YouTuber who finished this game and reviewed it, because reviews about this game don't exist on YouTube yet.
Number 4. Codename Dinka.
Codename Tinka is a genuinely great obscure sci-fi shooter that I haven't seen anyone mention for a while now. And just like every sci-fi shooter, Codename Tinka has some great elements loaded in. The first time I discovered this game was back in 2016 when I was searching for a similar game to Disruptor, and to my surprise, I ended up stumbling across this game. The PC release couldn't boot for me no matter what I did. However, I quickly learned that a PC release was launched prior to the PC version. In the beginning, I was pretty anxious that the console release would turn out to be terrible, but to my surprise, it was decent. Life Force Tinka, also known as Codename Tinka in the USA, was released in 1997 by Psygnosis, who are widely known for their excellent Colony Wars franchise. The game is a blast from start to finish with an upgrade system that reminded me of Hard Reset. As you progress into the game, you have to find certain upgrades for your weapon. It can be upgraded to accept a variety of weapons, such as a laser gun, a missile launcher, and more. Visuals look great for a PC One game, and they can look even better on an emulator if you opt to play it there. I should also note that while it may not feel groundbreaking today, Codename Tinka allowed the player to crouch to go through small spots, which was a marvel thing for a 1997 game.
Number 3. Cliff Barker's Undying.
Some may argue that Cliff Barker's Undying doesn't belong here, given its popularity in the horror community and the positive reviews it received from critics back then. Not to mention the story was written by the acclaimed writer Cliff Barker himself. However, Cliff Barker's Undying is now a relic of the past after 2 decades since its original release, seldom discussed in the FPS community. First of all, the atmosphere in this game is incredible. I always found myself looking around me because of whispers, and to my surprise, there was indeed something lurking behind me. For some reason, I couldn't bring myself not to appreciate the visuals. They have that artistic flair behind them, and I have found the enemy design to be scary and intimidating. However, Cliff Barker's Undying features expansive levels where you can freely explore, solve clues, and progress the story. It may sound simple at first, but you may find yourself occasionally getting lost, unable to find where to go next. Plus, some bosses come as incredibly frustrating and unfair at times. Luckily though, the game features a save feature, which lets you save anytime, anywhere. That way, you won't start from the very beginning if you die. Cliff Barker's Undying is available now on GOG and it still works on Windows 10 last time I checked, so pick it up if this interests you.
Number 2. Redline.
Originally released in 1999, a lot of players would have slept on this game if it wasn't for Night Dive Studios and Atari reviving it in 2014 on Steam and 2023 on GOG. Redline combines FPS and vehicular combat gameplay in the sense that, at times, you reload your gun and start blasting through foes, and on the other hand, you can just hop into your vehicle and rain hell on anything that comes your way. I found the controls for both the first-person shooting and vehicular combat to be decent for a game that was released 2.5 decades ago. They're responsive and aren't as frustrating as Uber Soldier 2. I don't have any complaints with this game, to be honest, though I wish they made a sequel.
Number 1. ZPC.
ZPC feels like a fever dream that I once questioned myself if I did play this game or if it was just my imagination. Turns out I have. But is it any good? Sort of. The visuals and cutscenes are the selling point of this game. They feel like they've been ripped straight out of a KMFDM album. And speaking of KMFDM, the guy who made the textures for this game went on to make the cover albums for KMFDM as well. If this doesn't raise your eyebrows, the game was built on Bungie's Marathon 2 engine, which was used to power other shooters like Damage Incorporated. I'm not sure how accurate this piece of information can be, but ZPC is arguably one of the first cartoonish first-person shooters, way before Borderlands and 12 were a thing. ZPC controls are solid, as is the gunplay overall, but my gripe with this game was the difficulty in how it doesn't even show you how to save your progress, which is pressing F11. It wouldn't hurt if the game received a GOG release to let people know about this game. God knows who still owns the rights to this IP, because information about this title is scarce. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching.